Hey there, I wanted to give you a little update of what we've got going on around the house. I'll do a little bit of a walkthrough, kind of show you some of the progress. It's kind of amazing when you start tearing into things, how bad they look before they start looking better. But we've had carpenters out that are working on kind of replacing some siding, fixing any areas where the original wood has any rot, or maybe it's been patched or repaired badly in the past. And what we're doing is replacing wood siding with new cedar, in some cases new poplar, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But again, we'll just do a quick walkthrough and I'll show you what things are looking like as we are making some progress, albeit it feels a little slow. All right, so we're starting around the back porch of the house here. You can see up here, if we zoom in, there's some area where once the paint's been pressure washed and some scraping's been done, there's an area where there's some water damage on the siding, both on the edge of the roof for the back porch and then right here. That bracket is where we've taken off the downspout. All the gutters are off of the house now. And so this is an area here where they've spliced in brand new cedar. It isn't a standard size cedar siding, so we've had to get some, have it made and then kind of milled down. So there's a ledger board here that's original, and then there's this little, there you can see a little bit of that piece there that is out, and we're making a new one of those. So as we kind of go on around the house, I'll kind of show you some of the progress that's being made. We'll go around this way, and if you look up at the upper area around the second floor, this is just done today. So they're scraping some of the old paint off, and then he's going around, and once he's got it scraped, he's actually sanding and priming, just a section at a time. It's a big house. There's a lot of work to be done, and you can see how once you think, well, it doesn't look too bad until you get that loose paint off and we start getting into some of the areas that really need some work. So up above, we've got some more siding that's been, or priming that's been done. There's also some siding boards that are replaced up there. I'm going to walk you around to the front. Well, as we walk around there, just going around the front of the house, you can see the area around the front porch looks really good because we just redid all of that 5 years ago. Underneath that, the front wall of the house there under the porch doesn't look bad because it just honestly doesn't get a lot of wear and tear. Not a lot of weather hits it. If you look up here on the second floor, this dormer's been primed and some of the taping's been done on that. Just below that window, if we get back a little bit, I think I'll be able to get it to where you can see some of the siding that's been replaced. And then you can see on this corner, so right up here, the corner, that white siding in the front of the house is new, but if we look in here, that is all areas, all that wood there has been removed. We're probably going to actually take off a little bit more as we get to working on this. That cove molding that's at the bottom, the rounded part, is something that's not made anymore, and we haven't been able to find any mill workshops through kind of normal sources that are making that. So we're actually going to make that ourselves. Here's an area where under the windowsill there's been some water damage, and that's taken out. We'll pull that windowsill out of there and then replace that cove molding. But as we zoom back out here, other places where you can see boards have been patched, there's more to be done. We actually have more siding on order. That means the bill keeps going up, but it's to be expected with an old house. Here looking at this end of the house, so this is on the north side. Again, places where they've primed. Another windowsill that had some damage, and that damage carried through to that cove molding. There's some areas of the siding that have been replaced, and then some areas to be replaced. We'll put all new corner beads, all the metal beading on those where the siding comes down and steps out. You can see there's little gaps, but we'll put some metal in there to cover that up, as it was done originally when the house was built. Another place here, again, the north side of the house, because it doesn't get a lot of sun, And we've got a tree line here of white pines to the north of the house that is kind of causing some moisture issues. We've cut some of those back. We'll kind of continue to do that. But here once again, so this is looking at the kitchen window and the upstairs bathroom window. There's some right here in the edge of that bathroom window, there's another sill and some more molding. That is a problem. As I'll run around back and show you something there real quickly, and show you a couple details that we're working. So back to the back porch of the house, if we zoom in here, these brackets or ornamental brackets on the bottom of the soffit area are called corbels. And you can see where two are missing in that corner. Well, those both, one of them was actually a bird's nest. There was a bird's nest in it, but those have rotted out completely because of really poor gutters that we had on. We had gutters with gutter guards on there, and they did a really good job of trapping things, and so we got some damage in the soffits. Keep an eye on your gutters. These really did quite a bit of damage, and so we're actually having to remake these corbels and from scratch, and it looks really complicated. I'll get one of these lower ones here that you can see. They're shorter, but they're on the back porch. Looks like a really complicated piece of woodwork, but it's honestly not as bad as it looks. And I'll show you here what we're doing is the carpenter has started to make a couple. Well, he's got the framing of them all started, and so if look at it, I'll try to hold this so we can see it. It's just a box. To that, there will be a molding that goes on this top, and it'll have a shape to it, kind of like that. They won't be 45s; they'll be rounded. So that will be on the bottom, and then I'm going to take you over here. So walk with me. On the sides of this, then as it goes up, there was this molding, and so this is an example of one of the pieces of molding that would have been up against the roof and then joined by another 45. So if you can imagine that, as we look back up here at one of these, it's pretty complicated when you look at it, but as you study it and try to rebuild it, as the carpenter's been working on, it's not that bad. So one of the challenges with this, however, is, well, nobody makes this. So we've got this piece of molding, and this is actually a fairly good piece. It's not rotted, it's not too bad. There's a little bit of water damage here, but as you look at it, it's loaded with decades of paint. The paint is, some places it's over a 1/16 of an inch thick. So now how do you duplicate this? And this is where my retired engineer father and one of my good friends from church I've been able to put their brains to use. We've gotten a piece of this, and then I've taken a slice of it, and then an even smaller slice, and then cleaned off the paint to where I have a good profile of what the shape is. And then independently, both my dad and Wendell, my friend, measured this, and we came up with measurements. Then my dad drew it in CAD, so now I have the exact dimensions of that profile, front and back, and the guys agreed within 9/1000ths of an inch on that bottom. Then my dad 3D printed another sample so we could look at them together and see how well they matched and get that profile right. And then what we're going to be doing is ordering cutting tools for a shaper, planer shaper, and we'll be able to make these new out of poplar, just like this was made originally out of poplar. So then for fun, my dad got this bug about printing it in 3D. So there's a 3D printed piece. Now, technically we could make it out of 3D printed parts, but cost effectively, not so much. Then the same thing happens with the trim that you saw underneath all of the windowsills. This is actually one of the best pieces that we took off of it, but if you look at the back of this, it's rotted and real spongy. So this is really coming apart, and so it was really tough to get my paper's blowing away. really tough to get a good sample, but we were able to get a decent slice of it that wasn't, sorry about the focus, wasn't too bad. And then take this slice, there's a better way to look at it, and then make some measurements. I did some rough measurements on it to begin with. Then again, same kind of thing. My dad went ahead and drew it up, got the CAD drawing, printed another sample so we can actually match it up and see, is it going to work against a new piece or an original piece. Now we'll be getting in some original poplar, or some rough sawn poplar, and we'll be able to mill these with that shaper planer, with cutters that we're having made. So if you need this profile, by the way, we'll have the tooling to do it, and hopefully we'll be able to get it made quickly enough to not delay the next phase of our project, and so these guys can get this equipment or this material back on the house. So there's a quick update. I hope you enjoyed that. You can follow along with us as we kind of work through this project on a wonderful old historic home that we are doing our best to take care of and be good stewards of. It's often a stressful but very enjoyable and good cause to take care of this, the Martin Hofer home from 1902. Thanks for watching.